Hi, my name's Charlie Cook. I'm the founder of Rightcharge, a comparison site for charge points, installation prices and EV-friendly energy tariffs.
And I'm Sara Sloman, Head of Future Mobility Partnerships at Elmtronics, who are an EV charging solution provider. Now we're together because we've been talking about how Action Net Zero can galvanise the interest in striving for clean air. But why did Rightcharge join the Alliance?
So as a business, we're really just all about making sure it's easy and obvious to get into an electric vehicle. And so the whole purpose of Action Net Zero, as far as we see it, is to bring together different pieces of the industry to really just give consumers all the information they could possibly need. And so yeah, it absolutely aligns with what we're doing, and we're really excited to be in Bristol.
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Elmtronics are a national company, but we've got our heart in the northeast and the southwest. So for us, we really wanted to be part of the Alliance just to really learn what everybody else is thinking and try to help translate that sometimes confusing message of how EV can help with decarbonisation and EV targets. In 9 years, we're going to be in the midst of the phase out. We're no longer going to be able to buy petrol or diesel cars. What have you seen with your consumers, and how are they feeling about this transition away from internal combustion engine?
Well, I guess firstly we've just seen, a crazy acceleration of people coming to us, I suppose, to use the services we have online, to ask us questions. I think since that announcement was made about the 2030 deadline to new petrol and diesel sales, all of a sudden everyone knows now that at some point they will be in an electric vehicle. And so rather than it being, this might not ever be me, now people know it's going to be them, and I think that's made a massive difference. How have Elmtronics seen the difference?
Well, we know that businesses are going to have to make this choice, and we're seeing these confusing elements become a reality for lots of business owners and individuals as well who are homeowners too, because of course you're going to take your vehicle home, right? And this is really difficult for people to understand how you're going to power those vehicles. And what if you're a homeowner who doesn't have access to home charge? And we specialise in both. So we have home charge and also fleet and commercial availability. And that's our bread and butter. That's what we do. We help guide from that initial thought process right through to installation, even when it gets complicated and messy in the middle. So that's what we do, and we wanted to be able to bring that message and help make those steps clearer and more easy for everybody to access. Now, you guys are completely impartial, and that's why we love Rightcharge, because any homeowner or any business can log on and see what chargers are available and make the right choice for themselves, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we see ourselves as being that point, perhaps just before someone comes to the end provider, we want to make sure that they're getting put in touch with fantastic businesses like Elmtronics, right? And I think it's really important for people to have both an understanding of what options are out there on the market, particularly when they're coming in via a dealership or a leasing company, and it's just really helpful for them to get that information at point of sale. And then we want to make sure they go through to partners that can deliver excellent service, give them exactly the products they need, exactly like you say, if they're consumer or fleet or have driveways or even don't have driveways. Like, as you know, we've got Co-Charger as well in the Action Net Zero collaboration, which means that it doesn't matter whether you've got a driveway or don't have a driveway, there's a solution there for you, which I think is the message everyone wants to hear, right? Because I think a lot of, or at least a third of UK houses don't have driveways. And so I think a lot of people are wondering, how am I really going to make this transition? And there are solutions out there, they're just, I think, not massively well known about at the moment. So for us, yeah, I think this will be an opportunity to bring all of those different services to light, and it'd be really interesting to see how that helps the people of Bristol to move forward and make that change before the clean air zone comes in, right?
Well, Action Net Zero has just been a fantastic opportunity to really harness that message that now is the time.
Absolutely.
Bristol was the first to declare a climate emergency. The whole nation was already in that state of mind already, understanding that 1.5 degrees increase is our deadline. It's irreversible from there. So anything that people can do to take those incremental steps forward is vital, and something I'm a big champion of is multi-modality. So not just EV, not just buses and cars and individual ownership. Yeah. It's about a collaborative approach. So here in the city, we've got car clubs, we've got micro-mobility with the scooters and availability of bike hire. So for me, it's not always about how do you go from one vehicle into the exact same that happens to be zero tailpipe emission,
right.
but what's best for you and your home and your family and your business. And something that often gets overlooked is the provision of renewable energy in this mix. So without that, all the numbers don't stack up as much. And we've got good energy on the Carbon Alliance, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Who else have we got?
So yeah, like you say, we've got good energy who can support with those home energy tariffs. We have, alongside with Rightcharge and Elmtronics and Co-Charger, we also have Edwards, who are there almost behind the scenes from a consumer and business perspective, because they're thinking, okay, all of these devices, they have semiconductors, but actually semiconductors are a big producer of carbon gases. So it's one of those things no one thinks about, but it's great to have a business that's really focused on reducing emissions in a part of the supply chain that we just don't ever think about.
And
right?
Business West have been working for years to bring together that collaborative business voice forward and make sure that the Southwest businesses are on the map with central government policy decision making. And then you've got ALD Automotive as well, who of course are international, and they bring a wealth of experience about how to guide a consumer through a behaviour change process. So as a mix, I think we're just so well represented in the marketplace to help bring that consumer thought process to life and just inspire people to just take action.
Sure.
Action net zero. The clue is in the name. We want people
Absolutely.
to think about their lives and how they can make the changes forward. What about you in your house? How have you made changes since you've been part of the partnership?
So, I mean, personally, I almost come under fire because people say, hey, have you got an electric vehicle? And I have to say, well, the truth is no, but I don't have a car. So yeah, I'll go with your point, which is that it's cleaner to cycle and walk. Anyway, I live in the centre of London, so you don't need a vehicle to get around. But I think, thinking about my parents, they have petrol cars at the moment, and they're desperately thinking, how do I replace that with an electric vehicle? And obviously, myself going into this space has accelerated that for them. And I think that's something like the Action Net Zero campaign, if they could come into one place and they could see all of the different solutions easily described, that would be hugely beneficial for them. So,
and seeing the effort that everyone's making to make those changes, it's quite inspiring, and we're going to use a series of hashtags. We've got a social media toolkit. We're going to make sure that we're taking all those messages that we deal with every single day and turn them into something that the individual homeowner or business might be interested in instigating in their own premises.
Yeah.
And we always encourage a kind of bottom-up and top-down approach, so integrating everybody in the entire stakeholder engagement process, from individual homeowners right through to big business and corporation, just to give them that toolkit that they need to pick apart their situation and identify quick wins, low-hanging fruit that make big differences and big changes towards that decarbonisation net zero target. 2050 is where we've got to be. I think we should bring it sooner.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said earlier, 1.5 degrees is already where we should be targeting, but we're already so close to that. And we're seeing pretty scary consequences of being at basically 1 degree above zero at the moment this year, with floods and fires. And the notion that we can continue to emit and to make the problem worse for another 25, 30 years is, I think, if that's our best case, that's potentially still a bit scary. So, I think the best we can do to bring that forward is clearly crucial. But it's interesting what you're saying about consumers and businesses needing that toolkit as well. And I think the combination of seeing what's happening around the world at the moment with all of these catastrophes, plus the constant message of you need to do your bit to reduce your emissions. And I think the reality is that actually a lot of people, consumers or businesses, it's quite difficult for them to know exactly what they can do. It's quite a stressful situation to be in, right?
It certainly is, and they feel like they've already made so much effort and they're being asked to make more, and that can be a real drag. It can make people rebellious. It can make them do the exact opposite. And if you are talking to a homeowner with multiple children and perhaps a low income versus somebody who has a lot of choice available to them, the electric vehicle market needs to be a lot more inclusive, and it can be. We can do situations where you don't own the vehicle, you lease it, or perhaps even have it on a rolling monthly fee, like a club that you can pull out of. And I think that's when the numbers start to really stack up, and that's when people start to see the benefits.
Yeah.
And we know from the behaviour change methods used in anti-smoking campaigns or start cycling campaigns that it always comes back to a trigger. And for some people that's cost, some people that's health, but for some people that's a life move. So a change in circumstance, a new job perhaps. So if we can work with employers to inspire their employees to make those changes in a sort of incremental yet meaningful way, I think that the carbon net zero has going to be easier for people to digest and understand what they can do as individuals.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed we can make that happen
We'll
with Action Net Zero this summer. Yeah.
Action Net Zero, if you want to find out more, make sure you go to www.actionnetzero.org.